Good afternoon. Welcome to the class. So we shall continue with the process of respiration. So respiration takes place in all the living organisms. It's a catabolic process, and all the organisms do not respire in the same way. And majorly, depending upon the availability of oxygen, there are two types of respirations. What are they? Aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is a type of respiration which takes place in all higher living organisms in the presence of where there is a sufficient amount of oxygen. Aerobic respiration will take place, and anaerobic respiration mainly takes place in the lower organisms like bacteria and fungi, where there is no oxygen or very less amount of oxygen, insufficient amount of oxygen in such organisms, anaerobic respiration will take place. So we can see the chemical equation for aerobic respiration. Glucose, I have told you already, respiratory substrates in the previous class. Glucose and fatty acids act as main respiratory substrates. They get oxidized and generate energy. So here glucose in the presence of oxygen will split into carbon dioxide, water, and a lot of energy is released. And in anaerobic respiration, which takes place in the lower organisms like bacteria and fungi, and here the glucose molecule, in the absence, there is no oxygen, it will break down into ethanol or ethyl alcohol, and carbon dioxide, and energy is released. And you might have observed in the daily life, when we do vigorous exercises, run or doing things very quickly in a faster way, we feel pain in the muscles. Why? Why the pain is caused? That is the question. So when we do vigorous exercises, the muscle cells, they work hard, and that is why the muscle cells do not get sufficient amount of oxygen, and they undergo a type of anaerobic respiration, temporarily producing lactic acid. So in the muscle cells, we get lactic acid and carbon dioxide is released. So when the lactic acid is formed, there is more amount of pain in the muscles. So muscle cells temporarily, anaerobic respiration will take place, releasing lactic acid. So these are the two types of respiration. And in these two types of respiration, there are certain similarities and also differences. What are the similarities between among aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration? Common points. What are the common points in both the types of respiration? Common points are, what are they? Organic substances are same. Glucose here, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. And carbon dioxide is formed commonly, and oxidation of food material is taking place, and energy is released in both the processes, and both processes will take place in the living organisms. These are the common points in aerobic and anaerobic respirations. So common points you might have understood. The same organic substances getting oxidized, carbon dioxide is released, energy is released, oxidation of food material is taking place, and it takes place only in the living organisms. And if you see differences between aerobic and anaerobic respirations, what are the difference? What makes anaerobic respiration different from aerobic respiration? Means first thing, presence of oxygen. Oxygen is present in aerobic respiration. There is no oxygen in anaerobic respiration. End products are carbon dioxide and water in aerobic respiration. Ethanol or ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide in anaerobic respiration. More amount of energy is released in aerobic respiration. Less amount of energy is released in anaerobic respiration. And next thing, aerobic respiration takes place in all higher living organisms. Anaerobic respiration takes place in lower organisms like bacteria and fungi, and certain sometimes muscle cells. Temporarily, muscle cells will respire anaerobically, producing lactic acid. So that is the main similarities among aerobic and anaerobic respirations, and differences between aerobic and anaerobic respirations. So these are the things. And now we shall see what happens. How can you prove that carbon dioxide is released during respiration. Both in aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, carbon dioxide is released. So how do you prove that carbon dioxide is released during respiration? So in aerobic respiration also carbon dioxide is released, anaerobic respiration also carbon dioxide is released. So first we have to take a test tube which is filled with some amount of lime water. So into that lime water, a person should breathe out. Then what happens? The lime water turns to milky. So you can see. So the person is, that is, he is blowing. You can see the picture here. So he is blowing and the lime water turns milky. And in another test tube, we take lime water and you just spray water, you just blow air into the lime water. What happens? What is the difference between these two things? That means in one thing, in first thing, when the person is blowing out, that means when he is respiring, the lime water turns milky. And in this one, when only air is released through a syringe into the lime water, there is no change. Why? What happened to the person? What happened in the test tube where the person has respired? That means the person has respired, that means carbon dioxide is released, and carbon dioxide reacts with lime water to turn lime water milky. But here only air is blown through the syringe. So that means there is no change in the lime water. So we can prove that carbon dioxide is released during the process of respiration. And what happens in anaerobic respiration? So in anaerobic respiration, we have to take some amount of sugar solution or fruit solution, and we have to add yeast, and we have to make it airtight with one holed rubber stopper, and we have to put a bent glass tube. One end of the glass tube must be in the sugar solution and another end must be in a test tube containing lime water. What happens? We can see the lime water changed to milky. That means here we have created anaerobic conditions. That means there is no supply of oxygen. So, and we have added yeast to the sugar solution. So the yeast cells are respiring anaerobically and releasing carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide reacts with lime water and converts lime water milky. So this is the thing we can say that carbon dioxide is released in both aerobic and anaerobic respirations. Okay. And we shall continue with the respiration, how the respiration takes place at a cellular level in the next class. Okay, thank you.